Namaste and greetings. Thank you for joining me. I'm Anita from Yoga on the Road, and we're moving through a relaxing practice tonight in preparation for bed. So it's intended as a prop heavy practice, the props being used to support your relaxation mode. So these are the things I recommend setting up with before practice. Is some sort of hand towel or something you can roll into a very small roll to support your neck for Shavasana. If you don't have a bolster like I've got here, you can use bed pillows rolled up in a towel and you'll get the same kind of outcome. And I definitely recommend a couple of blankets of a similar size. And then it's up to you whether you want to incorporate them into your practice. So let's get started. If you need to press pause and come back and collect all your bits and bobs, I will be here. I will meet you in child's pose. Child's pose typically is our big toes together, knees comfortably apart. If you want to support your child's pose with a prop, a nice big bolster or pillow is a nice way to start the practice. Settle your hips in. If this is too much on your knees, then just place a little support or pillow in between your heels and your sit bones. We're not going to stay a long time in each of these postures, but if you're finding that it's just what you need, then please feel free to pause and stay a little longer, and then you can catch up. As you arrive, take time to notice where your attention is drawn to, the body sensations you feel, what you notice about your breath. Is there any residue of the day that you're carrying with you into the night? And just let it all go here. As I guide you to sit in stillness, just notice 6 full breaths. Feel free to stop and pause here a little longer. If you're moving with me, slowly start to make your way to a tabletop position. Drawing your knees below your hips and your hands just in front of the line of your shoulders. We're moving into downward facing dog. Tuck your toes under. Press down evenly and firmly into the hands and the balls of the feet, and slowly start to lift all the way back, settling to downward facing dog. If you had the prop here from child's pose, your head may or may not touch the prop. If at any stage this hold becomes too much for you, then I invite you to meet yourself back in something that feels a bit more restorative, like child pose. If you're in downward dog and care to add some movement, you might gently cycle or pedal out your legs. Could also simultaneously or together bend the knees, lifting the sit bones and then extending the legs. You might just choose to meet yourself in total stillness. wherever it is that you meet yourself, acknowledge where your attention is drawn to, what you notice about your physical body. And take 4 breaths. Wherever you decided to arrive, walk the hands back or walk the feet forward to meet yourself in a forward folding pose now. Any shape where the head is lower than the heart is generally very supportive of your nervous system, helping you to wind down, slow down, calm down. Just take a few moments to settle in, and if that means adding some movement, moving from a half forward fold, bending the knees deeply so you've got a little bit more space to move. Just generally playing around until you find a position in forward fold that supports you. Remember, props can be an option. Arm folds can be an option. Find your place of comfort. And hold for 6 breaths. Again, the invitation is to stay there if this is a supportive pose for you, or gently walk back to downward facing dog. For 3 breaths. Gently move your prop off to the side if your prop is still on your mat like mine is. Lower your knees to the ground. Bring your big toes together. Settle your hip back to child's pose. And again, take another 3 to 4 breaths here. Slowly make your way up. And then this is where we're going to use predominantly most of our props. We're coming into a reclined bound angle pose. So my suggestion is that you have a prop for below the knees. And then you're just pressing the soles of your feet together, dropping the knees out to the side, and then potentially, if it feels right to you, adding some weight on both knees. And then that little dowel roll that we mentioned at the beginning, That's going to support the position of your neck. So slowly come back to a reclined position. Place that little roll just in the nape and general shape of the neck. Make any adjustments to your shoulders. I generally like to kind of roll or fold mine in towards one another to have an openness and space through the chest area. You might like to let your hands rest out to the side, palms facing up towards the ceiling. And if it's comfortable for you to do so, gently close down your eyes. Slowly scan your body. With the intention of just being aware of the feelings or sensations that you notice. I'm trying not to be judgmental about those feelings, not naming them as a good or a bad feeling, just noticing what residue you lay here with formed from your day, your week. And then just allow yourself to bring your awareness to your breath, moving in, moving out. You might like to use the breath as an anchor to keep you here in the present moment. Just your body lying on the mat in a form, breathing. And then just take up to 6 breaths here or more. If you're choosing to continue to move with me, slowly start to wrap up that last breath you're taking. Without too much disturbance to your body at this stage, just start to remove the blanket weights from your knees. Use the hands on the outer edge of your thigh to gently draw the thighs or the legs in towards one another. Gently prop yourself up and take one of those blankets again now and place it beneath your sit bones. And we're coming into a forward fold here. So I generally like to teach you to kind of settle the hips back. So you might need to kind of grab the flesh around the sit bones, settle the hips back. And that will encourage also a forward tilt of your pelvis. And then second prop might include your next blanket placed draped over the legs. And then you're simply just allowing your body to shift forward and rest. If you're not quite at the stage where you're meeting your knees, you can always take the blanket, roll a little more or a little higher. So just play around with working out the space of where best suits you. Turn your attention inwards. Focus again on any body sensations. Focus on breath. Acknowledge that thoughts are likely to arise, but instead of chasing them away, just notice them. Don't entertain them, just be aware. The quality. And then you might name it. For example, I'm having a thought about what I need to do for tomorrow. And then notice whether it still has that same power, whether it moves to another thought or even drifts just back to breath. And allow this to be a process. Take 6 breaths here. If you're moving with me, slowly start to lift your way all the way up. Remember, there's always an option to pause here and stay a little longer in that shape. Just move your knee prop off to the side for a moment. I'm just going to add a little gentle twist of the body before coming into our final restorative pose. So take your hands out, extend them away at your shoulder level. Bring the feet as wide as your mat. Press the knees in towards one another. And then slowly, ever so slowly, start to drop your knees towards the right hand side. Until they finally come to a rest position. And again, you can play here with propping, just draping a blanket or some heaviness or weight over that top leg. Play around with the position of your head to find the optimal position for you. And then settle into another 6 breaths. Slowly come back to center. Remove your props. Take an exhale, and as you exhale, slowly transition the legs back through center. Now to the opposite side. Again, slow and mindful movement as your legs move towards the ground. drape any props over you to add a little feedback. Find a position that your head feels comfortable. And just notice the pace of your breath, the depth of your breath, and the location of your breath. And consider one or all of these for 6 more breaths. Again, the invitation is, if you're with me, moving on, then slowly take the props away. Remember, it's your option to stay here a little longer and investigate. Bring everything back to the center. Roll to one side and just lift yourself up. We're setting up for our final restorative pose by placing the bolster beneath your knees, maybe the blankets as your arm supports, and then your little neck fold beneath the neck. If you have something that you could drape over your eyes, then that's a nice option as well. And as you move into your last pose, or our last pose together, Shavasana or Yogi or Corpse pose, make any little adjustments to your body to ensure that your body will be free of distraction. Notice all the points of connection between your body and the earth below you. Acknowledge the ground as supporting your practice. And let yourself be aware and conscious of 10 cycles of breath. So gently bring your awareness back. Gently add some movement to your hands and your feet. Take a deep and full breath in, stretch your arms out overhead, press out through the feet. And draw the knees in towards your chest. Rolling off to one side. Take as much time as you need on the floor here before making your way back up. Hopefully that practice supports a very restful night's sleep for you. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please hit subscribe and the little bell. I'm always uploading new tutorials. I thank you for joining me. Namaste.